Okay, Neal, do you want a donut?
Yeah. I've got a question for you. Are you buying the donuts?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, then yeah,
this is my
go.
treat.
Yeah, let's go then. If they want a picture of my grandmother, I'm sending them a picture of my grandmother. Oh, this is cool, but can it have this, that, and the other thing? It's easy to whip up a local show with some buds and get a case of beer and invite your friends. I don't just throw a dart and then hope for the best. I think most artists that I know would absolutely happily sell out. But this is all no-brainer stuff, I think, right?
What are you, an artist? You walk around like that to show off?
Yeah. The babes love it.
Are we getting out of the car?
Yeah. Why not?
Let's do it.
Let's do this adventure.
Here's one thing I feel some artists struggle with is wondering what people think about their work. And you did this series of fox paintings where people would literally, to your face, criticize them.
Yeah.
And I witnessed it because we shared a studio, but I super admire the fact that you just thought, who cares? I'm gonna keep painting these foxes till I'm done painting foxes. Nothing influenced you on those.
I think what did influence me was the kind of negative behavior of people and how uncomfortable it made people.
So you're like, I'm gonna paint more of them.
Yeah, the question is, do I care about whether or not people care or like my work? I cared a lot about what people said about it, and it meant a lot. And anybody, I think, in general, anybody who says, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, you're full of shit. You're full of it. Of course you care. You don't live in like a bubble where your actions only affect you. That's not how it works in the world. I had to grow a really thick skin to paint those foxes and to continue painting them because I felt like I still had some story, some narrative, some part of it still needed to be said. I kept going despite people harassing me or people saying, yeah, super rude, super rude things. But that also like was part of the idea, and then that idea stopped and I moved on to another idea. That's how I kind of work.
Let's just take a break for a second and check out how awesome this little hangout is. So that leads me to the next topic, which is artists trying to find their style. Because you've played around with a lot of styles. When we met, you're doing screen printed things.
Yeah.
And then you've done
I was doing
illustration,
a lot of, like,
cartoon kind of things, and then the foxes, and now the pools. So obviously you like exploring themes.
Yeah, I'm not
what would
afraid.
You encourage?
I would say to not be afraid to grow in a direction, to go in some way that may not seem familiar or you may not know anything about. I'm not saying to blindly go. Always do research. Always be researching. ABR.
ABR.
It used to be ABC, always be closing, but now it's ABR. Always be researching. So always be learning. And I think part of what I do as I switch from thing to thing is me learning something about myself or learning about a medium. Like when I was doing a lot of ink and on paper and learning a lot about that stuff.
Hey, there was a time you said, I'm only doing graphite from now on.
I was giving up painting and I did that for a year and it was kind of torturous. I tortured myself, but I learned a lot. I feel like I became a better artist in that I had to rely on my skill, learning how to draw things, learning how things look realistically, learning shadow and learning those things. And I think even though the work was not great all the time, I was making a lot of it, so it taught me a lot about where the next thing was going to be.
I love doing those kind of self-imposed things where...
Yeah, like an embargo on something. No yellow this year.
Okay, so moving right along, let's talk about social media. The other day, you posted a painting on Instagram stories.
Yep.
Sold it.
Yeah, that was funny.
So I jokingly said something about you sold the painting while it was still wet.
Yeah.
And that's literally the case.
It was still curing, the varnish was still curing.
That's amazing. So what's your take on social media? Obviously, that worked out for you.
It did, but you know, honestly, it's a lightning strike. I think it becomes about accessibility, which is one of the other vlogs. What Vlogtober was that?
That's every Vlogtober.
Every Vlogtober. Being accessible. So the work that you're making is accessible to everyone. I think everybody I know has a Clausen piece. And so when I go and veer off into some like quest about like trying to find something about myself, sometimes those aren't very pretty paintings, but lately I've been trying to do things that just make me happy, and I think the pools really make me happy. And that little painting that I did was like a little study of a little rock, like a little jewel that I actually bought at VIVA PASO.
Oh, how funny. Oh,
yeah, I bought that rock. This little crystal. And it was a total lark. I got lucky. I wrote, hey, you could win this 5x7. Link in bio, because everybody says that. And then I just said, just kidding, jerks, pay me. And then I wrote some random number. I wrote $95.68, and somebody who I know, he thought it was rad and was a little drunk and bought it. But yeah, the money spends either way. I don't care. No take-backs.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it was cool. Social media is important for a lot of reasons. One, to keep in touch with people that you know that are working in the same industry, people that are fans of your work, random strangers that become fans of your work.
No, I have a question.
Sure.
Since you...
In the middle of my statement?
Yes. Cut you off, because I'll forget.
Okay.
Since you submit to galleries, and you've actually gotten shows out of it, which is mind-blowing to me, because when I tried it back in the day, nothing ever happened. So, tying in social media with that, when you go to these shows, are you picking up new followers from these different towns?
Yeah.
And do they keep following?
I think they do, as long as you're doing work that doesn't alienate them or they like. I've kept a lot of followers. I've made friends as I've gone along. I think Instagram has been the best thing to ever happen to me as far as my career goes. Well, it's sad to say that, isn't it? That without Instagram, I am nothing. But it's
you got to embrace it.
That's not true. But with Instagram, I have become a better artist, meaning I've had a larger reach. I don't want to say that I'm more well-known. I'm still a nobody, but I can still reach people that I would have never reached before without having to do much than click a couple things.
There's a whole community of small-town artists that make a living at it, or at least consistently sell. And I feel like that's where social media really plays a role.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy in Paso that has 46,000 followers. If he's done a show, I've never known about it, but he sells a lot on Etsy because people see it, and he just has that kind of style where people share it. People don't share my paintings. No one screenshots it and reposts it on theirs.
Yeah.
But this guy has that.
The only time that's ever happened to me was when I did those cans of wine.
So you've also done a lot of commercial work.
I've done a little bit, yeah.
How has it come about, and do you do it for money? Do you do it for trade? Do you do it for the exposure?
When I was doing the New Time stuff, it was just me wanting to be involved more. It was when I first had moved here about 9 or 10 years ago. So
that's
I was willing to do
doing
anything for free.
Yeah.
So I was doing a couple of things for the New Times for free, and then I started to get paid to do some illustrations for the New Times.
I think that's a good time to do it for free.
Yeah.
You're new in town, you don't know anybody.
Yeah, why not flip somebody a biscuit? All the other stuff I think I've done was mostly because nobody knew any other artists, and I was working in offices and I was doing things like that. It was a different group of people.
So how did the wine...
The wine can came about because the wine people, they contacted me. They really liked my work. They had seen it from another set of friends who they had worked with before, and so they were starting to do something different that they had never done before. Either way, they were doing like a young hip version. They wanted to do wine in a can, so they wanted rosé and they wanted some things, but they wanted it to be about something fun and summery. And so they approached me because it was a no-brainer, kind of like, it was called, the wine itself was called Pool Party. I just got lucky. I mean, a lot of this stuff, a lot of my, I have to say, it's not because I've submitted a resume. I've just gotten lucky with any of the commercial work.
And I think that goes along with, I think I said this in a past video, about just always keep showing.
Yeah.
You know, you never know who's going to see it, if they're going to remember it for later. But that's a great example, because what if you didn't show those paintings?
Yeah.
You know.
It's perpetually just keep going and making goals for yourself and being motivated that way.
We are going back to the studio. And we're back in the studio. So, how do you feel about attachment to your work and having to let it go? Because that's a big problem with people. They'll price their work really high because they don't want to sell it.
They're their babies. Oh
Yeah.
God, I love you. Oh God, I love you so much. Please don't go away ever. I love you so much. You're so wavy right here. And you're so beautiful. No. I don't ever think that about anything I've ever made. They're all baby birds and they all need to leave the nest. All of them.
That's a great way to think about it.
Because I just don't connect with my work. It's on such a level that it would be like giving one of my ribs away. I just don't ever make anything like that. I think I follow the Warhol school. In a way, this is a product. I make a product to sell. That's all this is. There is no attachment to it.
For me, I like making things, so I'm not attached to it. I have no problem selling it, but it's so fun to make it that as soon as I'm done, I'm ready to start the next one.
Yeah.
So do you have some of that?
I'm definitely ready, because I plan everything out in a sketchbook. I know you've stopped using sketchbooks, but I use sketchbooks every day.
Yeah.
Almost every day. Not everything I'm doing in there is worth even talking about, but some of the things that are in there, I make something or I figure something out, and then I want to immediately get it on canvas. I want to get it done. So that's definitely a big part of it, is that I just want to keep making things. And the only way to keep making things also is to kind of sell them. So I don't have a whole house full of things that I don't want to, I can't be cluttered. I hate clutter. So I've been lucky enough to have sold a lot of work, even if I've had to maybe lower my prices a little bit so it's more accessible to people. What's important to me is somebody loves what I did, they bought it, and I'm moving on to the next thing. I don't have any attachment to it.
That's all we have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Thanks for taking me seriously, and don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe.
See you tomorrow.
Rawr. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
You're doing great.